I applied to Indiana University, University of Indianapolis, and then here.
I think the first time we came, he really liked it, but we all kind of thought, nah, you're not going to go 6 hours away.
Met all the criteria that I was looking for, so I said, why not?
I think he's a kid who's not given to impulses, but once he goes, he goes.
So it's been an adventure. You know, I wanted to be a RA my sophomore year, but I didn't get it. And then I lived off campus my junior year. We did a lot of training in the fall, and then did a lot of paperwork at the beginning, but once you got going, it's just fun.
Reid was an RA for us for 1 year in Tutt Hall, and he was a very good role model for the students, especially in the area of academics.
I like just getting to know people, and getting to know my staff, getting to know people on my floor, hanging out with people. I can't believe they paid me. I would have done it for free. It was a great experience.
They are a policy enforcer, they're a mediator, a programmer, an educator, a role model. They're the person who we hope most of our students go to when they're in need.
Those are always tough when someone has gotten in trouble or had a policy violation, because you have to be intentional about, you know, having those conversations and like being really deliberate in your relationship with other people. So that's something I've learned in this job.
My goal is that he just go out and give it all he has, so he'll always be proud of that.
I think he's a guy who checks out the terrain before he jumps. He researched the field and decided that's where he wants to go.
My major is political science, my minor is criminology. Right now, if I get accepted to the PhD programs, I'll look to get my PhD and then become a professor. And then if not, then I'll do it like some nonprofit work.
There's contact, there's conflict, there's accommodation, and finally there's assimilation as members integrated.
He's from Nigeria, so he has like a different perspective. He can kind of bring in his own experiences and talk to us about them. I like it a lot just because it's discussion-based. He'll force you to kind of share your thoughts with the class. I mean, African Americans, I think, in general view themselves as American, just like people whose heritage have been here for so many years. But maybe if you're like a first-generation person or a second generation, then maybe you feel differently.
But they are culturally assimilated.
Which I think adds a lot, because everyone has their own perspective, their own experiences. So there's a lot of lively discussion based on the reading, based off film clips we watch.
If I don't have your email address, it'd be great if we'll just send it around and you can add it, make sure I can read it. We try to keep you as informed as we can.
I don't really choose wrestling. Wrestling kind of chose me, I'd say. My dad's a wrestling coach, and my brothers wrestled, and of course, if my brothers are going to wrestle, I have to wrestle, so I can beat them. That's the age-old question about wrestling. Because there are times when it's not fun at all. You know, it's just waking up at 6:30 in the morning, you think, wow, it's a drag, or cutting weight, this is horrible. But I think it's the competition. It's the one-on-one factor, you know? Like, I'm going to go out there, you're going to go out there, the ref blows the whistle, let's see who's better. You want to be the national champion, you want to be an All-American, and that's what everyone strives for, same with me.
We obviously want to win our conference. Our conference championship is a big deal, huge deal in our state and in our sport.
Pretty tough kid. I've wrestled him a few times and he's beaten me, so. But in wrestling, you worry more about what you're going to do than what the other guy's going to do. So I feel if I do my thing, I should be fine. I feel like we're pretty prepared, so I'm ready to go, get out there, feel confident, feel in shape. I feel like I got a good strategy. The coach puts these matches on our schedule for a purpose, because he wants us to, you know, face a tough competition early. That way we can build on it for the whole year.
On you, Reid, let's go. Hawks on 3! 1, 2, 3! Hawks!
Up again. Hand up your right.
The final score of the match is 8-3. The winner for the Eagles under decision, 174 pounds, Mike Schmidt.
They beat us again, so that was frustrating, hard to take.
This year's been hard. There's been some tough matches. It's not going like Reid would like it to go.
Through wrestling, I learned how to ask people for help. Because one thing I've realized being in college is people who are better than you in your position, you want to go to them and see how they got to where they are.
I think he's probably had some things that have tested his faith. He lost a dear friend in a car accident right before he came back for his junior year. I've never seen him quit anything. I'm proud of him for that. I think grad school was probably always in the back of his mind, and the McNair program just really helped solidify that for him.
The purpose of the program is to prepare students to get a PhD and to be eligible for careers as college faculty and help diversify the college faculty.
Reid, because he was part of the McNair Scholars Program, they have a really specifically laid out plan for undergraduate research. And so all of the students in that program are required to participate in undergraduate research.
It is a student-centered activity. Students are driving the research. They are trying to find the answers to questions that they themselves are passionate about.
The goal of basic research is to be published.
In this methods class, we're doing our own research project. We did our literature review already, and now we're collecting our own data. How the level of your parental involvement during high school, how does that impact how well a student does when they're in college? Every group in the class has to send out 80 surveys. Yeah, at this point it's really hard because there's so many loose ends, you know, like my grades are right at the point where I could go either way, you know. I could get A's or get B's or get a B or get a C, so that's kind of weighing on my mind heavy.
It's been interesting. We've had a lot of times students who performed well in their high school but needed some additional reinforcement in order to be competitive for graduate school.
You know, one of the things that Reid and I spent a lot of time working on was his decision about going to graduate school. So as an advisor, it was, how do you pick a school and what kind of considerations do you take into account? So Reid came to the table with a lot of ideas already about what he wanted to do and where he might want to go.
And right now, I'm applying to some graduate schools to study sociology. Please list all sociology courses taken and grades received. I didn't realize how much work it would be to do all these applications. I'm thinking about doing 8 to 10 applications, so that's been kind of hard.
Hawks on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Hawks. Lots of movement. Non-stop.
We wrestled the number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 team from Division III from last year's national tournament in the first semester, and so you know, a little bit of a challenge or a test, I think, in that first semester. And since we've come back after Christmas, we've seen some dividends from that. You know, wrestling those strong schools early. I think it's very impressive that somebody can dedicate as much as they do and sacrifice for the sport of wrestling, which I think is unique, how much a student athlete has to sacrifice to be successful in this sport.
I don't think anybody gets too upset if there's a little bit of blood. You just wrap it up and keep going. That's kind of the mentality, just patch it up, keep wrestling. Getting your hand raised is like the best feeling. You know, winning those matches is great. And then, of course, hanging out with your teammates.
You know, we were kind of nervous coming into school, and freshman year we didn't talk too much, but we got really close sophomore, junior, and senior year. I mean, I roomed with him my junior year, and he's definitely a great friend and a great guy.
It feels good to have another option, because before, like 2 weeks ago, I didn't have any options. Now I got accepted to Northern Arizona, University of Iowa, Mississippi State, University of Oklahoma, and Northern Illinois have offered on-campus interviews. So when they ask you, like, tell us about some of your experiences, I could say, you know, I was undergraduate research, I was a student athlete, resident assistant.
That's one thing that graduate recruiters over the years look for in students, and they value highly.
This spring, hopefully the goal is to present my research at the National Undergraduate Research Conference in Utah. So I submitted my abstract like last week, and I'll be hearing back from them in a month probably, so that'd be awesome to be able to go there.
So the undergraduate research process, you start with the, coming up with your idea and with the abstract, and then putting together your research design. Those are the same things that you do in graduate school when you're writing a dissertation, or even when you're writing a paper in grad school. So I think that students who participate in undergraduate research who want to go to grad school really get a special bonus. I think that undergraduate research is great for everyone, because even if you're not going to go to graduate school, people in most work environments have to give presentations, they have to know how to speak on their feet, and so one of the things that the undergraduate research program does is require students to present their work to a wide audience, and I think that that's helpful to anyone, no matter what field they go into. And so he came to me with this really neat idea about looking at hate crimes and reporting on college campuses, and he wanted to do this study that looked at different statistics and compared them across different schools. And so he and I sat down and we thought about how we could make that much narrower.
It opened my eyes to the challenges of research that I wasn't aware of before. I had to scale it down and kind of rethink what I wanted to do. So I think what I have now is going to be pretty solid.
He had been offered a pretty good assistantship at Mississippi State, but he wasn't sure whether or not he'd be able to get into the academic program that he wanted to get into. And then Northern Arizona offered him admission to their program, but he really wanted to go to Mississippi State. And so, and it wasn't a sure thing at Mississippi State. And so we talked about being risk averse and kind of going for it. And I talked about my experiences and some of the decisions that I made in deciding about going to graduate school.
She puts it all on the table, and that's something I appreciate about her. She doesn't sugarcoat things.
It's a tougher conversation to have, because sometimes students want you to really help them, make that decision, and I can't do that.
Well, I just got an email the other day saying that my abstract got accepted, so I'll be going to Utah come spring break to present my research, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Many students actually comment that this is one of the highlights of their entire college career, because now they get to present the work in a national conference now.
So it's kind of cool to get out there, see what everyone's researching, and talk to them, do a little networking.
Whitewater is usually very well represented, is usually among the top, if not the top in the event.
Most of them will have their own poster in their own area where people are going to walk around and ask you questions. You can tell them about your project. When people think research and think of writing reports, you think mostly of the hard sciences, and you don't realize how much research is done in the social sciences, political science major and a criminology minor. So there's a lot of ways that kind of connects. So I'm looking at is how student organizations on the college campuses raise awareness for hate crimes and what people should do about them. Some people don't even agree that we should have hate crime reporting, but it's an interesting topic to me because it's so complicated. Like, it was bad that it happened, but it was neat how people came together afterwards. So that's what got me interested in it.
A lot of times when students come from first generation or low income backgrounds, they have not done as much traveling, and so getting a chance to do something like go to Ogden, Utah, and fly out there and meet students from all over the country and allows them to be more competitive.
The conference tournaments were kind of a thing where you can turn around your season, because if you do well, you get to go to nationals. If you don't do as well, your season's over. Lacrosse, they're a team they've beaten us every year. Every time we face them, they come out strong, and we have a tough time against them. And it feels nice to, get them at the end for once. I fell short of my goals that I set out at the beginning of the year, which was, as an individual, which is kind of disappointing, but I kind of worked out in the end because we accomplished pretty much all of our team goals that we set out for. So that was nice to come together as a team in the end and finally win the WIAC tournament. It will set in next fall, next winter, when everyone else is getting ready to wrestle again. That's when I'll really realize that, oh, it's over. When I look back, a lot of things that I've learned about myself and a lot of the most important lessons I've learned have come from the wrestling mat, from the wrestling room, from being out on the pavement running, and you really learn a lot about yourself. So I ended up turning down the offer at Northern Arizona without even knowing if I was going to for sure get into Mississippi State. So it was kind of nerve-wracking in the past couple weeks, but to finally hear it back from Mississippi State that I got into the school, it's a good weight off my shoulders.
So I might have gone with the sure thing, but there's reasons why you shouldn't go with the sure thing necessarily. So, I mean, ultimately he went with what felt better.
Before I decided to wrestle, before I decided to become an RA, before I decided to do the undergraduate research project, I was really nervous about it or apprehensive about doing it. But then once I did it and got into it, I became comfortable in it. So don't be scared to be uncomfortable and make mistakes, because you'll be fine.
I think Reid will be successful no matter where he goes because he's just a really good guy and a hard worker, and I think that it'll work out for him.
Helen Lucille Dare. Reid G. Dickerson, magna cum laude.
In the end, well, what did you do in college? I took classes. No one really cares that you took classes. Everyone takes classes. They care what you do outside of class. That's something that these 4 years kind of groomed me into, is being able to take more risks and try to go for different opportunities. My experience at Whitewater really is going to hinge on what happens afterward, but I feel like there's a pretty good chance I'll be set.